Hello, creative spirits. I've got a three-card reading for your creativity for the month of July. And this month I'm using the Gentle Tarot, which is a deck I really, really love. It's very beautiful, very nature focused. Coming from an Indigenous creator, it comes with a beautiful book as well. So I'm excited to share these cards with you. And if you're on my email list, you're also getting an email around this time with what I call Frankenscopes. Frankenscopes, that's what they're called. Because I take your sun sign, and for every sun sign, I pull a tarot card. And then based on that tarot card, I create a prompt for you to work with your creativity and to think about making your own magic. So if you like this reading and you want something even more personal, hop on my email list and you'll get next month's Frankenscopes as well. I am also open to better or different names for those Frankenscopes. I kind of like Frankenscopes, but it's hard to know what they really are when you hear that. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. All right, our first card for this month from the Gentle Tarot is the Four of Stones or the Four of Pentacles. And here we see a female figure sitting out in a meadow with four beautiful stones set in front of her, almost like a set of drums. And she's looking off into the distance, maybe gazing at the horizon, thinking about what's ahead, what she wants to create. And in traditional versions of this card, we will see a human figure, often with a pentacle under each foot. A pentacle is like a coin shaped, a circle with a star inside of it, kind of representing what looks like money. And the pentacles and the stones in this deck are connected with the element of earth. And the earth element is what we use to turn our dreams and visions into something that has material substance. So in the traditional Four of Pentacles, we'll see a figure usually sitting in a chair with a pentacle under each foot, one over their chest and one above their head. So the human has a kind of full coverage of pentacles around their body. And usually in the background, there is a cityscape. So there's this suggestion that there's community in the background, but the human figure is kind of separated from that community, at least in this particular archetype. In this card, we don't see the cityscape or we don't see anything suggesting a community, though we do see these beautiful flowers and these patches of flowers spread all over the meadow. And I think we do make community with our plant friends, or we should be making community with our plant friends, or we should consider them part of our community. So I'm not sure if the creator kind of wanted to suggest that with these, what look to be like dandelions in the meadow. But we do have the figure with the same number, of course, four stones, and these looking really beautiful. So a couple messages come with this card. The cautionary kind of message is that sometimes the human figure, the idea is that the human has gathered these pentacles and kind of put them all around themselves as a force field, as a kind of protective measure to create a little bit of distance between themselves and that community that we tend to see behind them, the cityscape. So even though it's nice to have four pentacles, there's something suggesting a kind of like closing off or hoarding or keeping resources close, which can, when we're feeling like we have to hold things for ourselves, lest they be taken from us or lest we lose them, just that energetic kind of clutching can also create a wall of separation between ourselves and others, or ourselves and the things that we want. The more positive spin on this card, or the way of looking at this card that gives us a little more encouragement, would be to think of the Four of Pentacles or the Four of Stones as though we've come out of a phase of feeling like we've been in a deficit, or we've been in a bit of a hole or a ditch, or we've been trying to climb our way out of something. And in the Four of Pentacles, we've kind of reached this place of stability. Because four is a very stable number. We like our tables to have four chairs. We like our cars to have four wheels because they create a great deal of stability. We also know that animals that have four legs can usually, many of them, move very quickly and have a lot of agility that we don't, as two-legged creatures, fully enjoy. So four is that number of coming into stability or solidity. And so another way to think about this card is that maybe you've come out of a period of trying to get out of a hole, and now you have created something stable and strong, kind of like you've reached ground zero and you're able to build from this foundation that you've created for yourself. So that's a lot of context, but the main takeaway from this card, what I'd like you to do in relation to your creativity this month, is kind of start with two questions. So in this first week of July, the first 10 days or so of July, be thinking about, in what way may I have created a wall? Where is there a little bit of avoidance or resistance to my creativity? When do I get a little bit scared? When do I kind of want to be creative, but then back away? How do I distract myself? What excuses am I creating to not do the creating that I want to do? So start with that question. Where is there a wall? Where have I created a little energetic separateness from myself and my creativity? The next question I want you to consider, also in that first week of July, is how have I created stability for myself in the past month, 2 months, even 6 months, over the course of this first half of the year? How have you created stability for your creative practice? So that could be something very small, or it could be something quite large. So maybe you've kind of rearranged your office space, or set up a new writing desk, or refreshed your writing space if you're a writer, or your studio. Maybe on a grander scale, maybe you've joined a writing group or a group of artists, and you have stronger support in a community. And so that's creating more stability for you. So this is a time to really take stock of how you've created that stability, and where it came from, how you did it, and also what it provides for you. Like, how is it creating stability in your life, in your creative practice? So those are the two things I want you to notice first in this early part of July. Where is there a wall or a bit of separation? And also, where is there stability that you've created? Because I just want you to notice that, so that you can maybe work with that wall, figure out like where it is, what it is, and what might you need to think or believe in order to not be creating that resistance or that avoidance. And then I want you to think about, wait, what's already here that's actually supporting me right now? And with those two things in mind, we might be able to do and enjoy what comes in our next card, which is the Root of Wands. So this is the Knight of Wands. And here we have what looks like a ferret or a weasel standing in the night. There are two little branches here on either side with a fire burning in two different spots. And this kind of like little halo over the weasel or the ferret's head. And these are little flowers capping the plants on either side. So for this one, for the Knight of Wands, for the Root of Wands, I like to think about adventure. The knights are vehicles. They are going on a mission. They are leaving one place and going to another. They are on the move, and they're working, like all of the court cards, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. They're working on mastery in their element. And of course, the wands element is fire. Fire is dynamic, it is sensual, it is exciting. It's related to the spark of life that animates our body. And our body is really the vehicle for our soul or our spirit in this lifetime to experience all of the amazing adventure that's out there for us. So if we didn't have these bodies, we would just be, in my theory of metaphysics, we would just be this soul, this energetic soul or consciousness kind of like floating around, looking at things or being aware of things, being aware of ourselves. But having a body allows us to touch and play and move and travel and interact with people and taste food and have sex and dance and ride horses or whatever we like to do with our bodies, those sensual experiences that come from having a physical form. So the nights kind of take that animation in the body, that sense of sensuality, which I mean in a very broad sense, just using the senses, enjoying the senses. The Knight of Wands takes that and uses the body to go out and have these adventures. Another way to think about this card, or another way I've heard it described, is to kind of think about some of your favorite performers who really use their physical form to enchant us. So, like, people are paying oodles of money to go see Taylor Swift dancing on stage and moving her body and using her voice. And the way that she does that is so captivating to people that they're like, yes, I will shell out this huge amount of cash, in my opinion. No offense to Taylor or anyone who loves Taylor, no offense. I'm just saying that human beings really are captivated by people who can use their bodies to really express and give us a kind of experience that's very almost suspended. We feel like we're out of our regular lives and inside this experience of magic. So I want you to think about this little weasel or this little ferret out at night. He found this little like patch of branches or plants, and he's lighting these little fires and kind of having a good time, doing something a little bit mischievous, doing something a little bit different. And after we move through those questions that came up with the Four of Stones, where do I have stability? Where do I have a wall? We can move into this card and think about this for like the middle part of July. How can you create some adventure for yourself in your creative practice? What can you do that would be different, unusual, a little mischievous, a little offbeat, I guess, not your normal protocol for creativity? I think it's time probably for a lot of you to mix things up, break the pattern, and get a little bit weird with things. Have an adventure. This could mean crossing into another modality. So if you're a writer, what if you took a pottery class? If you're a potter, what if you played with collage for a little bit? If you do a lot of knitting and embroidery, what if you went to a dance class? So kind of, I think we think a lot that like we need to put all of our creative energy into our chosen venue, our chosen modality, our chosen vehicle, and that it should all really go into that funnel to create that thing so that our craft gets better, we get better, we produce better things. But your creativity or your relationship with creativity is expansive. You can use it for anything that you want. And I would argue that when you are out relating to your creativity and having fun with it in some way, whether or not it's your normal modality, you're cultivating that relationship with it. You're staying in touch with it. You're keeping it alive. And I think also if we stay on one track all the time, we miss opportunities to bring in other ideas and to reshape the way that we work in our modality. Sometimes when we step out, we can see, oh, I could try this kind of thing, or this gives me an idea to bring this into my normal modality. And so we get a little bit of refreshment from that. So in that middle part of July, I want you to be, or I invite you to be, thinking about how you can create adventure for yourself. And that doesn't even necessarily mean like creating per se. It might mean going and traveling and soaking up inspiration and experiencing different cultures and learning about different time periods and different ways that people lived, and just doing something that maybe you haven't done before, trying something you haven't tried, letting yourself get a little freaky compared to what your norm is. All right, that's going to set you up for our final card for July, the Hanged Woman or the Hanging Woman. Here in this one, we have this nude lady hanging upside down on like an acrobat's swing, and we have these two little birds on a wire. We have we have the moon in 4 different phases, and these flowers kind of floating towards the female figure. So my thinking here is that your work in the 4 of Pentacles and your adventure in the Root of Wands is going to prepare you for this experience of the Hanging Woman, which is a change in perspective. So just like I was saying, when you go out, when you give yourself some adventure, when you mix things up, when you do things differently, when you jump off your track for a little bit and go wander into a totally different direction or get a little bit lost somewhere, you can have this experience of really opening up your understanding and your awareness of how you work, how you create, what you want to create next, what you could bring in to maybe solve a creative problem that you've been kind of banging your head against the wall over for a while. So in this final part of July, I want you to be noticing or thinking about, what have I gathered? What have I absorbed in my adventures that I can use to help me see the world from a different angle? That's literally what the Hanging Woman is doing. In a traditional version of this card, it has, at first glance, it looks a bit more like the human has been punished and is hanging upside down because of something they've done, when actually, whether it's a traditional card or this one, it's a elective activity. The person has chosen to hang upside down, to remove themselves from all of the like regular frenzy and excitement of life, all of the distractions of life, and really is digesting and seeing the world from a different place and from a different angle. So after that adventurousness that you may be experiencing in the middle of July, you can come home in the end of July, and really think about, what did that adventure do for me? What did I take away from that? What experiences were really powerful? What am I seeing now, or what am I thinking about now that was not available before? And then that's something to kind of digest. And the other thing about the Hanging Woman or the Hanged One is that there's a bit of removal. It has like a little bit of flavor of the Hermit. So the Hermit retreats from the world a little bit, gets away from the noise of the world so that they can tap into their inner wisdom. And this has a similar vibe, in that the person has, if you're going to go hang upside down, there's not going to be a lot of people out doing that with you. You're going to be like kind of the weirdo out there doing the upside down hanging. And maybe you would, this is all metaphor, right? Maybe you would do that in a place where you get a little bit of solitude, so that people aren't like, what's that person doing hanging upside down? Instead, you just get to be there with your different view of the world, a completely, 180 different view. So in those final weeks of July, I want you to be thinking about what's changed, what have you noticed, how has your vision expanded, and what can you do going forward with this new perspective? Okay, so you have your 3 questions. Really, it's 4. Really, it's 3. Maybe it's 4. I don't know. Where have you created a wall, avoidance, or block? What is it? Why? What do you need to think or believe to reframe that? And secondly, how have you created stability and solidity for yourself? Then, how can you create some adventure? How can you mix things up? How can you do things differently? How can you get a little bit wild and crazy and kind of step off of your normal beaten path? And then finally, what was gained and what did you learn? What did you notice? How do you see the world differently now as a result of everything you went through in July with your creative process? Okay, I would love to hear how it goes. So at the end of July, when you get your August reading, hop back over to this video and let me know what happened for you. What did you notice? How did you have an adventure? Where was your wall? Where was your solid footing? And what changed for you? I would love to hear that. And then if you're not already on my email list, hop over to typewritertarot.com and sign up there so that every month you also get the Frankenscopes, which are personalized to your sun sign with a tarot card pull and a creative prompt. All right, have fun, go enjoy, make a little mischief, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.